Today we're going to be talking about a Nerf Nseries blaster. This one is called the Strikeback, and I saw this one in Rhode Island, but I didn't have a chance to get my hands on it. It was one that really piqued my interest on the slides that they showed us about new products coming up, and I was really happy to see it on the store shelves and during an after Christmas sale. You always got to get those after Christmas sales. What I like about it specifically is that it has visual indication of when you squeeze the trigger. You see, when you have this blaster right here, this orange trapezoid, or I don't know, some kind of weird shape, goes back with the blaster, and we'll get into that a whole bit later. This does match nicely with a lot of the other Nerf N-Series blasters, and it's great to see these colors popping through, the subtle textures on the plastic. There's just a lot to like about the visual look of this, and not only that, but there's just a ton of dart storage. There's actually some assembly going to be required, so I'm just gonna socket these in. And if you lose these or for whatever reason, it's not going to affect the performance of the blaster at all. Like most of the magazine-fed Nerf N-Series blasters, this one is internal. So I gotta prime it back. It opens up this door that allows me to put in some darts. See how many it comfortably holds. Let's see, 1, 2. Oh, looks like I could get probably 6 in here. That's quite a good, decent size. Okay, 5 and 6. Yep, 6 is the limit for sure. You can't squeeze any more in there without damaging the darts. And since we are talking about the darts, let's talk about the Nerf N1 dart before we get to firing this thing. This is the brand new Nerf dart that is going to be replacing the Nerf Elite style dart. What happens to the Nerf Pro darts or what happens to Rival doesn't impact these darts right here. This is a direct replacement for the Elite dart as far as we know. A lot of people have had mixed reactions. Honestly, at this point, I think they're including enough darts in the blasters with these things that you get a good sense of bulking up your dart collection so that you're not scrounging for darts. It's not like Nerf packages of old where you get just enough darts to cover how many darts are being stored on the blaster or how many fire from it at a time. We're getting more than enough N1 darts, I think, that it's a fine replacement, and I don't have too many issues with it. Well, that said, we are going to get this blaster primed, and as you noticed, this orange piece stayed in place. So when it slides back, the orange piece stays, the rest of it moves forward. And once we fire this, get a good look at it. Oh, that feels really good. The N-Series performance is just a bump up from Elite, but it's not quite as powerful as something like Rival or Nerf Pro, obviously. This is still geared towards the 8 and up crowd. We're not in the teenage years for this stuff, but what I'm curious about is loading up the rest of the darts here. So I've got the extra darts in my pocket. I want to see just how this looks. I love dart holders on blasters. I love when they include them. Now, obviously, the problem with them is that if you leave the darts in there, you're going to deform them. And if you do that, you're going to have a bad time with performance, with jamming, all that kind of stuff. It's an interesting system with these clips. There's a tiny little bump on the end, so it kind of just grabs, just like the tiniest little bit, like a little grab, and it gets the darts in place. At least for these, this looks like a completely different system, so maybe they're testing to see which system works better, and I guess I'm the guy to test it, I suppose. Immediately, I like the blue one better. So between the white clip and the blue clip in the back, the blue one definitely wins. The white clip here, there's just some loose darts. If I were to like toss this to somebody, I could almost be assured that some of the darts would fly out on the front. The back here though, I think we're doing all right. Yeah, this is great. So you get enough darts to fill up the internal magazine, and you also get enough darts to fill up all of the dart holders on this blaster. That's great. Let's get another one out. And watch this thing slam forward. That's the cool part. Oh, that's great. I'm going to watch it go forward. I kind of want to see that. Here we go. Oh, that's fun. That is fun. I like that. Oh, that feels good. And the performance behind it feels pretty solid too. All right, we got a few more darts in here. I'm just having fun. That's what you want with a dart blaster, right? Fun. That's it. We have unloaded all the darts in this N-Series blaster. The N-Series Strikeback, so far, this one is rocketing to the top of some of my favorite N-Series blasters, which, I mean, there's not a whole lot at this point, so the field's wide open, but this is a strong entry from what I can tell. The fact that I'm loading darts and I just want to put more darts through this thing is great. The internal clip, it's a little finicky. I think it grabs the darts a little too much. Yeah, like that's a little sticky. You know, as I play around with this more, I'm gonna notice a little more quirks with it. I think it's just because of the springs holding the feed lips together. They're a little bit strong. It's interesting. All right, here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a little hiccup there. So I don't know exactly what happened, but when I ratcheted back and then I pushed it forward, something in the dart must have been a little unaligned, and it felt like it caught on the top of the blaster, or at least the feeding mechanism. It all worked out in the end. As we saw, the dart did leave the barrel, but I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible and see if we can't get a jam. All right, here we go. All right, not bad. Slam fire. Does it slam fire? I don't think so. No, does not slam fire. In fact, it kind of messes it up a little bit. So you see when I tried to slam fire it, it grabbed the dart right back here and it brought it back when I primed the thing. Doesn't double fire, which is good. Yeah, that's just fun. Like, you get that feedback of when you squeeze the trigger, this part moves forward. So it's somewhat like a simulated recoil, which is just a nice little gimmick on blasters. But ultimately, we got to put this guy through more paces. I'm having fun with it. I think that's a really good sign that I'm having fun with the blaster. And it's just interesting to see how these N-Series blasters work, because they have to rework everything from the ground up because of these new darts. So I'll load the rest of these up, fire them off, and then I'll give you what I like, what I don't like, and my final thoughts on the whole thing. All right, so a couple things that I really like about this blaster. One is the look of it, the style of it. I like the N-Series style. That bright blue, the stark white, the vibrant orange, all works together for me. I like those more neon colors. It really is a callback to some of the early days of the 90s Nerf blasters, and I think we're just getting a little touch of that here. And overall, like, I think it just looks like a very cool, very brightly colored package. Performance of this is good. We have that N-Series performance, which again is the bump up from Nerf Elite. We're not hitting anything beyond Rival, but that's okay. Like, the performance, you still feel the performance bump with this. Love the fact that they have dart holders all over this place. So you get 6 darts inside the blaster, 6 darts here, 6 darts here. You can just refill this thing like crazy. You get more than enough N1 darts to just have fun with it, which you're going to have fun with it. If we had to be really choosy about which style of these dart clamps, these dart holders that I really like, it's the back ones. It's just designed in a slightly different way so that it holds onto the darts a little more securely. But since we are talking about the stock of the blaster, it's a nice dart holder, but I wouldn't really consider this a stock. It's just it's like small, it's tiny, it's very tiny. And even though we are talking about the 8+ crowd, it still feels a little disproportionate for the rest of the blaster. So what I might have wanted to see changed is like just chopping this off and then just having it be like this. It would be more of like, what was it? The Rival Knockout Takedown? One of the two. I appreciate the dart holder in the back for sure, and I think I probably would miss that, but I wonder if there would be a way to put it somewhere else if we were just either gonna remove this entirely, or, I suppose, better yet, just increase the size of it a little bit so that it's proportional to the rest of the blaster. What I really like about this blaster, probably my favorite thing about the blaster, is the gimmick of this Strikeback slide. When you prime it and you push it forward, you have this element that's exciting, that's ready to go forward with the squeeze of a trigger. And when you do squeeze it, it provides some visual feedback. It also provides some physical feedback. You do feel a little bit like it's not like a huge ka-chunk forward, but it's just a slight little like move that you can feel the blaster doing something a little extra. And I think it gives the sense that the dart is going faster. I think it really feels like it just pushes it a little more, even though that's not really the case. This is just a cosmetic piece over all of this. It just helps sell the illusion that the darts are going faster, which is something that I find about blasters, is that people want it to feel powerful. It doesn't necessarily have to be the most powerful. The grip on this feels pretty good. The only thing is, like, this part juts out a little bit, so if your hand keeps rubbing against it, that is going to interfere. So it isn't perfect, but it is comfortable. But if we're also talking about things that I didn't like, the feed lips on this, they're just a little too strong, and it makes mashing in the darts into the internal magazine a little more difficult. I'm guessing because all of these mechanics are very new and they're still trying things out, that it's going to take a little bit of time to dial in exactly how these internal mechanisms work. So instead of having all the darts be loosey-goosey, even if you have to bend the dart to get it in there, overall is probably the better experience. However, I'm wondering if there is an in-between where we have not as hard springs that are pushing the darts together so that it's a little easier experience to load in. But when you get them in and you fire them, that's when you're having fun. This is top 1 or top 2 N-Series blaster for me right now. The top one, of course, is the Infinite. That is just such a fun blaster. There's just so many cool things happening with it that like are just fun. Like they're gimmicks. The agility I really like. But I think, you know what, this is better than the agility. It just feels better. The gimmick of this slide going forward just really works in the Strikeback's favor. This is going to sound a little strange, but if we're looking to the future of the N-Series, I think there could be a really compelling case once all of the internal mechanisms and stuff like that get figured out, that this pump grip handle turns into a lever prime. Because I can't tell you how often that when I was firing this thing, I would also do like the spin. I think that would feel really good with a lever prime. So I think the Strikeback is primed to have sequels of this, but just slightly different priming mechanisms, and a lever would feel really good on this. But that's looking forward. This is just going to be a fun one. I'm going to come back to this one if I ever go to a blaster event where N-Series is a featured blaster dart type. I'm definitely bringing the Strikeback because it's just fun, and that's what I'm looking for when it comes to these blasters. It feels powerful, it has the gimmick, and it all works. It works great. So while this blaster did come out in 2024, I think a lot of people will be discovering it in 2025, and no matter what point you bought this blaster, you're gonna like it. But yeah, if you want to know more about N-Series blasters as they release, you need to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned to the Ri-Fi channel, because I talk a lot about blasters. And I also talk a lot about action figures, collectibles, and pop culture, because all of those things are related. A good action toy is a good action toy. So that's it. That's everything that I know about this, the Nerf N-Series Strikeback. It is a fun blaster. I think you'll like it a lot if you pick it up. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.